And we are live.
Hello.
And I don't think I've been on one of these ones in a while, except for that one where I was super tired and it was 3 o'clock in the morning. You guys were talking, and I wasn't even aware that I was in the call for a certain period of time.
No, there was a time when it was just me and you. We did the Wasteland Waifu 5. The quintessentially untypical.
Oh, yes. I thought that was after the early morning one where you guys woke me up, though. I could swear it was.
I don't even remember. We haven't done one of these things in so fucking long, I don't even remember, man.
Yeah, I suppose that's a fair point. Hang on, just sharing
hey,
the
look,
link out.
We already got $2. Thanks,
Yeah.
Neon
Wait,
Green.
seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. I like how I like these super chats.
The
We're getting
super
them more
chats are
often than we
fantastic
used
because
to.
they help us. They allow us to like have more money to be able to spend on making good quality shit for you guys.
Yeah, I'm absolutely gonna be talking about that later in this live stream, and I've got a video about something similar coming up tomorrow. I'll elaborate later, but for now, it has been 2 years since the very first release of Terminal Secrets, and I'm a big fan of anniversaries.
I'll be right back. I didn't put enough creamer in my coffee, and it tastes like ass.
Still sharing out the link, doing a live stream to celebrate 2 years since the release of my very first audio drama. Hashtag Audio Drama Sunday. Because Audio Drama Sunday should be respected. Alright. No, you're not wasting your money on live streams, Mr. Neon Green. You are wasting your money on something cooler. We'll just come up with a different name for it a little bit later. We have 8 people in the call already. Alright, so it's been 2 years. So technically, Thursday was the anniversary. And
but literally all of our schedules were completely taken up at that time.
I have been fucking slammed at university because, hey, Stable, you know how that thing where Stable Tech and other people tried to do animations, and it took them years and years and years to do their animations that were like 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
So university is making me do something. It's about half the length, but it's making me do it in about 7 days. No, 6 days. I have 6 days. Myself and the second animator, so there are 2 of us, have 6 days to make a 7-minute animation as part of our second last exam for to get our degree. And everything, we're currently just busy preparing for that shit right now, and it is destroying us.
Yeah.
Because we have, it's very, very depressing. It is it's one of those things where you have a big bright smile on your face, but you're actually dying inside.
Yeah. So another day. Okay.
Another day where you're just dying on the inside, and it's totally fine.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the natural thing.
Back to baseline.
I exist by dying inside. Okay, then. So we're going to start today the same way we started the very first anniversary for Terminal Secrets, which was via questions. Last time we did one of these, we didn't have a... we weren't doing live streams, so I had you guys messaging me. Well, I think I had everyone drop their questions in the form of comments on an announcement video, and then everyone had to do their thing. But anyway, so your Terminal Secrets focused questions can come into the live stream. We can be more efficient this time, and then we can go from there. I find we are currently in production with episode 5, actually, which will officially leave Needle as being Butterfly Stitch longer than the previous voice actress.
Yay.
Aww.
They currently tied 2 episodes to 2 episodes. Even though Needle has technically been with us longer, like in terms of actual spans worth of time and actual words spoken, considering that episodes 3 and 4 were much longer and gave her way more to do. Like, I went and re-listened to Terminal Secrets episode 1 and 2, and I was actually really, really surprised as to how little of Butterfly we got to see during that first episode. She didn't even have much character to her. She would, some of her base character traits were still there, but other than that, Butterfly mostly existed in that first episode to say, play the next tape.
Yeah, I mean, obviously what really kicked off her character was the ending, so that's when it actually became a thing.
Exactly, yeah. It's been
Butterfly into what she's supposed to be.
Broken on the inside,
yes.
Yay.
And broken on the outside, yayer. I mean, to be fair, Terminal Secrets at its core was always about its original, was always about the stable experiments and not Butterfly Stitch, and stable control was originally meant to be just a framing device, and it has grown into something more so that we could add in the recurring plot. I mean, there were a lot of things that changed. Dr. Fractal was only created somewhere around the episode 3's production. Things like Stella wasn't going to have as big a role as she currently is enjoying. Oh man, that would actually be kind of fun. I think I want to talk about in a moment some untypical storylines and plot threads that I have thrown in the trash.
There you go. That was fun.
Yeah, there we go. Before we do that, though, I need to vanish for a second. So, do you mind holding the conversation up?
We can try.
With your Sky voice. Thank you very much.
Okay, so now it's just you and me, chat. So.
Hey.
Oh, I didn't know you were back.
Wow! I was talking.
I'm sorry. Okay, so when was your first experience with Terminal Secrets, Nettle?
My first experience with Terminal Secrets was one of you. I don't remember whether it was you or Vermont who came up to me and was like, "Hey, we need a replacement."
Oh, that was probably Vermont.
That was literally my first experience with Terminal Secrets, because I believe maybe a month before, 2 months before maybe, is when we actually released Wasteland Survival Guide.
Okay, yeah. So essentially, yeah, we brought you in the studio when you were hired for to be Derpy Horse, and yeah. So I think it was around that time we were also in the process of Kelly had remastered episode 1 of Terminal Secrets and put that out there. Let me take a look back now. Actually, when did that happen? Because that was still what we were working on, was just getting those ported over to the channel essentially. Episode 1 remastered. That was November 27th. Yeah, so sort of yeah, I don't know, sort of around the same time that we brought you in. So yeah.
And back.
Oh, hi.
Okay, so apparently we are going to have a power cut in the next half an hour. I don't know if it's going to be entirely true. So before I do the...
Yeah,
so you might...
Get all your word out there. Yeah.
Yeah, you might lose me in half an hour. We will see. So I'm going to try and speak at lightning speed. Before I start talking about Terminal Secrets related stuff, though, I do just want to get something really... I just do want to deal with some administrative... discussions first, which is we'll be doing an official announcement video tomorrow, but on March 27th. Yes, so that Tuesday, March 27th, we will be beginning a 60-day funding period for Untypical. The first episode was not cheap to create. It was
not cheap to create.
Yeah.
You want to elaborate on that?
I'm not going to be giving out a specific fee, but but we relied very much on the generosity of our patrons and on the patience of many members of our team. For this project, I did my best to pay members of the team, including Needle Stitch, who was paid for the very first time. She's worked for free on every other EAST Corp production except for this one. So yeah, she belted out all those fantastic performances
for free, man. That's what the super chat specifically pays me. I got $2 today.
Look at that. We're gonna have a lot more waifu cast coming up then.
Oh my
god. So moving forward with Untypical, I do want to. We are paying more people. I'm increasing certain people's paychecks because they have been doing quite a lot of work, and also they scare me.
Is it me? Is that code for
yes, you're the one. No, you're the one who scares me. Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
is that code
you're terrifying. It's code for Needle. In all seriousness, though, so we have cut costs where we can. A lot of these things are just for the sake of people who do need the money. All of this needs to be. We are starting our Indiegogo campaign on the 27th of March. We are aiming for a minimum of $2,000. That will get us an extra 2 episodes, each episode being an hour and a half to 2 hours long. That will cover 2 episodes at the cost of $800 each, which is more than what we spent on episode 1. And the remaining $400 will cover the... remaining $400 will cover any additional costs, including backer fees and so on. We have some fun stretch goals that I'll elaborate on during the campaign. It's just to let you guys know that is coming up. So get your wallets ready, or get ready to just spread the word for that 60-day period. We could really, really use the support.
I had an idea. I'm not going to say it. I'm going to message you. But
message me the idea. Ooh, I like I like the tone of Needle's voice over there because it was super positive, and I like when people have positive gasps.
The thing is,
positive
I usually
mouth
have
noises
really good ideas, and really good ideas you implement, and they do well.
This is true. This is also true. Anyway, while Needle types that, and with that piece of housekeeping out of the way, terminal secrets. Okay, so let's start off right at the beginning with episode 1, and I'm going to delegate this section to Skybolt because he knows more about it than I do. They were saying that Skybolt when Skybolt originally pitched Dose to me, one of the most interesting elements unfortunately ended up being cut, which I kind of wish I'd given Sky a little bit more time to expand on the idea, which was that. If you remember, in episode 1, the characters were all the characters in the stable were suffering from migraines, with the exception of certain people the exception of certain ponies who were immune. And there were 2 elements that Sky quite liked. The one was that immune ponies had a drastically more improved lifestyle. They had the pick of whatever resources they wanted, which there are elements of that in the script, but not to the extent that we had both wanted. And the second one was a black market trade of the cure, which I found really, really interesting, which ultimately had to be cut. So, Sky, would you like to elaborate on those?
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of it's like the point of most of the stables or the vault experiments in the general sense. It was all about, forging a better breed of horses, and with the Dose script was essentially obviously they were trying to it was like that their leading thought was they were trying to essentially breed out of the population the whatever genes or whatever the susceptibility of the mind to emotional suggestion, sort of like they want to breed out the nocebo effect as much as possible, so that the brain is more self-critical or whatever. And so essentially it was like a social engineering thing, from the very start when the whole experiment goes down and everyone has this horrible chronic migraines going on now, and they've got medicine and stuff. Was the idea that those few that are immune that they're held on like a pedestal. It's the social engineering of they're desirable. They're, you know, it's sort of eugenic overtones, but that was sort of the whole point of it. And so it's like the line from damn, whatever the character's name was now, the grass guy.
The grass.
Anyway,
The grass guy.
The grass guy. What was his name? The
Are you talking about?
I gotta pull it up now.
What?
What? Pinkin's dad. What's his name?
Oh, him. Yes, Green Orchard. Green Orchard.
Green Orchard. There we go.
How could
Anyway,
you not remember your own like character's name?
I know.
Oh, I forget my characters all the time.
Yeah. So when Green Orchard, his throwaway line about like I don't know how I got I think it was Saffron was his wife, to settle down with him. You know, it was all about like, you know, she was way out of his league because just by being one of the immunes that she was like inherently better. And normally like, it's a weird thing. I would have expanded on more if we did have like 2 or 3 hours, but a whole dynamic about like, while it's good to be immune, they didn't want the immunes to just stick together necessarily either, because it's like you want as many horses as possible to get the immunity. So it was going to be like, I don't know, I would have delved into that more, and like James was saying, a whole black market about secret cures and stuff, and there would have been like a subplot about like, well, that probably Green Orchard would have done, like, you know, why is this cure work, like what it is about it. And it would have been like, you know, maybe not Lugnut, maybe Lugnut, about having something in a different freezer, essentially, where it was cool enough that they thought it was working better because they weren't picking on the subtle degradation of the refrigerant in their own scientific refrigerator. So it's yeah, I don't know. It was very much it was very much just about very Michael Crichton-esque, where you have just little systems fail, and because of the hubris of the characters, they don't notice when things run out of their control. Control everything. Life finds a way.
Yeah, and it's definitely one of my regrets is not including that, so at the time, Stapletech had limited us to 40 minutes. With episode 2, I was kind of able to push our luck a little bit to...
We're having a bit of a hiccup.
What happened?
Oh my gosh.
What? Is OBS malfunctioning?
It's having a little bit of a hiccup.
Oh my gosh.
It's not OBS, it's the stream itself.
Really?
YouTube, why? Why you gotta be this way?
Right.
You have like all the infrastructure in the world. Shouldn't be this way.
It's buffering on my end. It says video output low. Do you guys still hear us?
Yeah, write in the chat if you hear us. We're not seeing any comments about like what happened yet, so maybe they can still hear us. Maybe it's just the video that's being goofy.
Yeah, no, the video is buffering more or less around the point where you were talking about Michael Crichton.
His ghost in
Although
the
then
stream broke the system.
We're offline.
Oh,
fuck. Yeah. Although then again,
it says
to be
the stream is running just fine. Like through OBS, everything is running great.
What the fuck, YouTube?
Oh, something's happening. Might be picking back.
Okay. Yeah, it's gone out. Yeah, getting messages from people saying it's gone out on their end. People complaining. I do find it quite funny though. So, arguably, saying the stream went out at the point of this where Skybot was talking about Michael Crichton, that could be any point in any number of EAST Corp podcasts, because I think Skybot talking about Michael Crichton might be the most common thing in our podcasts.
Absolutely. He was lost too young. He could have written so many more novels.
Right.
It's going again.
And is it?
It says it is. Serious. What is going on?
I don't know. I thought Portland had good internet.
I do have good internet. That's why I'm like, you two, what's going on here, friend?
What's wrong, friendo?
It's the ghost in the machine. Speaking of Ghost in the Machine, that's what I thought was actually good about the iRobot movie with Will Smith. Was I thought they handled that whole thing with the whole like mansion like dinner party part was really good. I thought it was a nice Asimov Asimov style.
See, I kind of liked iRobot. Yeah. I know I'm vastly in the minority on that, but I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I tried reading the book, but the book is formatted a lot differently because it's like a series. So I think it's the first book that's very much like just setting up the world, essentially, and the laws of robotics and all that.
I think I haven't actually tried to read the book yet, to be honest.
What's interesting too about for everyone who's probably seen the movie or not, how the big reveal of how he has the second positronic brain in his stomach. There's actually a leading theory about how there are so many like kind of self-active nerves in like the human like the stomach area, like the digestion and all that operate a lot of things pretty much like on their own, that it's almost like a second medulla oblongata, where you not like a second brain per se, but like in the very animalistic sense, it like kind of runs things separately. Because there's a lot of animals in nature where they don't have like one brain; they have a lot of I call them ganglions that are like mini brains that just handle individual tasks and functions. And humans sort of have that too. Like you have like a nerve center in like your joints, places like that. Like if you put your hand on a like a hot like frying pan, it doesn't have to wait until it makes it to your brain. Once it hits a certain point in your body, the nerve reacts and it tugs your muscle away from it. So it's very fascinating, all the inner workings of the mind, the nervous system. I was just talking to some friends last night actually about how the human brain has a lag of 80 milliseconds, I think. So it's like when you see something, it takes 80 milliseconds for you to process that the thing happened. And then there are some people with like really good reflexes where it's a little bit faster. And then of course there's people with slower. And yeah, it's fascinating. The interface of the human mind to the nature around them.
Wow, this is really behind.
Very classical.
How behind is the stream?
Portland
Are we
had
talking?
behind.
Holy crap! That is far behind. Damn. And what we were talking about Portland's internet ages ago.
Felt like hours ago. Literally hours.
It literally could have been hours. All right, I suppose we'll just keep going and we'll respond to people as they
eventually pop up.
As they eventually pop up, yeah.
All right, go ahead, James, because you might disappear.
Okay, so where was I lost on this one?
You handed off to me talking about the black market and then the other stuff. And how
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I recall now is oh, I remember where we were at. Yes, you'd finished talking about the black market stuff. I was talking about we managed to convince Stable Tech to give an extra 20 minutes to get Terminal Secrets 2 up to an hour, which because originally they had limited us to 40 minutes for the episode 1 script, which is one of the reasons Skybolt had to cut a bunch of stuff from the original episode. And it's kind of funny. Usually when we come to olden day complaints, it always goes into, well, Stable Tech did this or said we had to do this, and as a result.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's
Yep.
Art without adversity, right?
Right. Okay, so when we got so Terminal Secrets episode 2, we did have to. One of the things we had to cut was the. Okay, so one of the things we had to cut was was the entire ending. So episode 2 was going to be about 14 minutes longer, which was going to feature a lot more of our detective hero Vienna and the villainous church leader Calistage, it's kind of just poking and prodding at each other. The whole idea being that Vienna was going to slide her way, about to go bow out, into the systems of government that Calistage and her family had been setting up, and slowly start dismantling them. And it was then finally going to end with Vienna meeting Calistage and some of her goons in a bar for a game of Russian roulette, in which she tricks Calistage into sitting in front of her and letting her load bullets and killing her. Which, of course, I was actually able to at least live that up, because that became the Aria Moon monologue from Terminal Secrets episode 4, but I would have liked to have done it in its original form in that whole 40-minute stretch. But again, that was cut because we were rushing to meet. We weren't rushing to meet any specific deadline set by Stable Tech, but we were rushing to fill the gap. It had been such a long time since we had. It had been such a long time since we'd done it, since we'd released anything substantial on the Stable Tech channel, because this was pre-engineer, so we were still in that really, really long gap between Confessions 3 and Confessions 4.
God, yeah, that was pretty bad.
Right. Was anything cut from Hunger? I don't remember if everything you pitched to me, I think, made its way in.
I believe so. I can't remember anything per se. I know I commented my retrospective of Hunger on my channel about the one only little bit was I had a throwaway line about the stable connection, like what was it, the command line thing, because I wanted to sort of wrap up a loose end from the Ghoul Doctor about how, like, even if they had gotten through on the command line and stuff, like, nothing was going to work. Sort of like, you know, that one last, like, empty wrench in the works. Because when I wrote the Ghoul Doctor, that was in reference to the early development of, like, whatever phase Terminal Secrets it was. It was sort of going to be my pitch to worm my way onto the writing team officially. But it was that was something.
Tendment. Now, episode 4, I've gone into this in a slight bit of detail, was the fact that the entire original episode content was completely cut, because originally Mohan pitched to me a stable on the moon, which I fucking loved. But that was cut for reasons of time, reasons of it didn't use the setting enough outside of just being like, cool, we're on the moon. Though I think Scratchy did come up with a really, really cool one, which we had to cut because it just didn't match the time frame enough. Was Scratchy kind of had this idea of the moon stable developing advanced technology and weaponry, and then a very specific, very advanced gun falling from the stable and crash landing in Equestria and being picked up by Homage.
Ah, I like that.
Which the timeline did not match up, but but I really wanted to fuck with the timeline to try and make that match up, because I really liked that so much. Especially because we would have found a way to connect the audio log thing to it, so that we could actually have a cameo from Homage in Terminal Secrets. Oh man!
What detail did K-Cat go into about the star gun? Because I don't actually remember
Not
anything about it. Yeah, except that she has a gun that's like star power or whatever, like fucking.
Yeah. She didn't go into a lot of detail. She said that it fell from the sky, and that was about it, and that it was like super duper powerful.
Nice.
But I thought it was unfortunate that we had to cut that piece of content, but to be fair, that piece of content did rear its head again, because so the stable moon was then I took that and bastardized it into the Periloon Society in Untypical, which for those of you who have listened to the first episode, where the councilman who makes the story explains how he and his people were quite literally dropped on the moon and spent several years separated from the rest of the world. So that moved its way into Untypical. Now, not necessarily talk about. We can't say anything about Terminal Secrets Episode 5 because it's currently in production. But I do want to talk a little bit about some of the ideas that were cut from Terminal Secrets. So these are things that would have happened in the following were cut. And there are no spoilers in this because, again, these are not things that are going to happen. You can essentially count these as things that just will not. So, there was a version of the story in which Butterfly Stitch was going to... in which Episode 5 was originally, in my original thoughts on it, before I handed Scribble the Blanks check, was the requirement that spare parts still be alive. So we have episode 4 comes to an end. There's an explosion. It's fairly spare parts was in the explosion and is now dead. Episode 5 does not reference the explosion whatsoever. They arrive. Spare parts clean. Butter wakes up. They go through their general course of the day, interacting with spare parts as if the stream is offline, and the stream is online again. And with the idea being of coming to the end of the episode and sort of having Butterfly go down into the stables more bury her father, who dies, who was meant to appear and then proceed to die in the episode as well. And then Butterfly was going to find Spare's grave down there and realize that she had been hallucinating the entire fucking thing. I cut this because it was very stupid.
Sweet.
But I kind of... I wanted to push the idea that Butterfly was going completely fucking insane. Which you can hear the beginnings of that at the end of Terminal Secrets Episode 2, where you can hear Pink Pippin whispering Butterfly's name at the end, and sort of taunting her. But you can also see the point where that idea was cut, because there's that plot point is not followed up at all in Episode 3.